Pokémon Legends Arceus is the brand new Pokemon game that will be released next, and it's just so amazing. Hey, this is GatorEX, and it's time for a trailer breakdown. Now, not that there's not a whole lot in this trailer to discuss, but there's an interesting amount. So very obviously, the trailer starts off pretty cinematically, discussing that this is a game that takes place in a long ago era. We start off with a desk, we look at an older book, we get to see the Pokeballs here, which, by the way, these are kind of proto-Pokeballs, which we got some official artwork for as well, and they almost look a little more wooden, but functionally they're still pretty much the same. In terms of how long ago this was probably maybe a little over 100 years ago. For one thing, we've still got, again, bound books, as we see in this trailer. We've still got small desk lamps, of course, flame-lit lamps, but still definitely a while ago. And the biggest thing is that the Sinnoh region itself is largely undeveloped. A lot of it is very wild open space, which plays into the whole open world game of this game. We do see that, there are some cities there, and they definitely look like older buildings, older cities. Still, very Japan influenced, as of course the Sinnoh region is, but it seems like the towns, if at all, they're going to be very few and far between. We get a very quick look at this unnamed town that we're going to be starting out in, and it does seem, very central hubbish to the whole Sinnoh region. It looks like how close to Mount Coronet is going to be. That's the question. Mount Coronet, of course, is the center of the Sinnoh region, so it's going to be basically the center of this world. And I'm guessing that we'll basically be able to explore the entire Sinnoh region in this open world style. We do get to see a lot of Pokemon running about. Piplup appear in the wild, and that's kind of an interesting thing here, as opposed to, say, in the later games, say Diamond Pearl, Piplup isn't, a wild occurring Pokemon, but it's still something that we see. There are several other Pokemon that we get to see in the wild, but not a whole lot. We see stuff like Bidoof, stuff like Shinx, stuff that you would definitely expect. So it seems like, at the very least, the Bidoof and the Shinx might be a little earlier on. We definitely see some other wild Pokemon. At one point, there seems to be a Garchomp that is possibly a wild Pokemon. In terms of the gameplay, we see that, of course, there's a lot going on in that, just how open world it is. Seems like a free moving camera at all times. In terms of transition from one area to the next, it might be seamless. I don't know if that is the case, because they're not being towns and it being an open world, it seems like transitions would be seamless. One interesting thing is that, yes, while you're in the overworld, you're able to throw Pokeballs at Pokemon and just catch them like that, sort of similar to a Let's Go style, but also it stays in the overworld. It doesn't transition into a catching scene. One thing in the website that's stated is that you can catch Pokemon traditionally this way, but you can also engage in a wild battle with Pokemon by throwing the Pokeball that your Pokemon is in at those Pokemon, and it start a traditional wild battle, as we see here. But the interesting thing is, it says that it's going to be seamless, this transition. So cutting all of this out, cutting from one thing to another, getting rid of that, it plays more into this open world style. Aside from that, we really just see a lot of other Pokemon that are announced, revealed. It seems like they've been redone. For one thing, with the starters that we get to see, which it's a different mix of starters. During the presentation, they mentioned that these are starters that were brought to the Sinnoh region by somebody else, with a Cyndaquil, a Rowlet, and an Oshawott. Of course, all Pokemon not native to the Sinnoh region, but I think it's a good idea to mix that up. And especially because we do see, again, Piplup naturally occurring in the wild, which might play into something with, say, the starter Pokemon, how maybe they've become scarce in later times. So during a time like this, previously, now we get starter Pokemon from other regions. But at the very least, it shows that there are people definitely in the Sinnoh region, in the Alola region, and in the Johto region. All of which I suppose I would expect. Maybe not Unova, but everywhere else, I guess. But I guess the interesting thing is that there's really not a whole lot more, because yes, we see, some paintings depicting the town and people in it, but aside from that, much of this trailer is open space, which is going to be for us to explore, and that's going to be pretty neat as well. And of course, the last bit of information is that Arceus is going to be very important to the story. Again, it being a mythical Pokemon, typically it's given out through distributions, but very obviously in this game, it's going to be front and center inside the actual game, and we'll probably be able to catch it, maybe. But at the same time, it's definitely going to be important to the story. because this is the Sinnoh region, or at least, you know, probably the early days of the Sinnoh region when people are just setting things up. And it's stated that we're playing as a character who's assisting in developing the first Pokedex, or around the time that the first Pokedex is being developed here. And, you know, I guess that also plays into Professor Rowan, who would eventually, you know, teach Professor Oak. And Professor Rowan was from the Sinnoh region, so that all kind of clicks here and there. But in terms of how Arceus is going to play into things, we'll probably go and discover, you know, what the origins of the Sinnoh region are with Arceus. We'll probably be playing as a player character or interacting with other characters who are going to be finding Arceus and discovering the myths of the Sinnoh region, writing everything down, building all of the monuments that we see later in Diamond and Pearl, and, you know, of course, the remakes for Diamond and Pearl, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. So this is going to be a prequel game, and it's coming out after Diamond and Pearl. Or at least, you know, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. So very likely when we get those games, we're going to get reintroduced to the Sinnoh region. Probably some new ideas are going to be introduced as well. And there are going to be a bunch of hints toward this game, toward Legends Arceus. In terms of execution, when it comes to Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and Legends Arceus, sorry, I got to remember those names, I think this was the proper step. Because, you know, going from Sword and Shield, they kind of took it in two different directions. They said, well, okay, let's take a step back toward tradition, you know, with the graphics of Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, how they're a little more chibi-like. They seem very, very one-to-one adaptations of the Sinnoh games, while with Legends Arceus, it's more of a prequel, and it dives straight into the open world look of it, the open world aesthetic. Again, you know, probably building a lot on Sword and Shield's wild area. Again, I think I've mentioned that the Isle of Armor in Sword and Shield and the Crown Tundra are just amazing, some of the best parts of it, and that could definitely serve for an entire game. You know, again, with the Crown Tundra, transitions from one area to the next, very seamless, you know, or as seamless as it could be. So that's probably going to be, again, adapted into these games. But overall, I think it's looking really good. I'll be discussing things more, so I got to head off to work for a bit. But that's basically my trailer breakdown for Legends Arceus, and I'll be discussing things more, so probably some of the lore later on. But if you've got any ideas or anything you'd like me to discuss concerning these games, leave it in the comment below and we'll discuss it there, and I'll probably develop it into some sort of video. But let me know what you think. I think it was a great Pokemon Presents. You know, again, starting off with some nostalgia stuff and then going into the new Pokemon Snap stuff. But I did not expect these two games to happen. You know, I thought that, you know, maybe there'd be like some Diamond and Pearl remakes, and that honestly, that kind of is what we needed. But I think that taking one idea, Diamond and Pearl remakes or Sinnoh remakes, and splitting it into two game ideas like this is the perfect execution. And, you know, I saw someone point out on Twitter, similar to, say, what Zelda did with like Breath of the Wild and Link to the Past, or Link's Awakening on the Switch. And I think that this is a good direction for Pokemon, especially, you know, with Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl being co-developed by someone else. But Junichi Masuda is still serving as like the game director. But overall, oh my gosh, some good stuff. But let me know what you think in the comments below. We'll continue the discussion down there. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe. If you think I deserve it, if you'd like to help support, you can also click that applause button as well. That'll send some support my way. But anyway, this has been GatorEX. Have a nice day.